This is Justin, Allen,
Eddie Williams,
and we're doing an audio review of the newest Ghostbusters film this time because some personal things came up, so we're having to do this as an audio review. And
we'll soon get back into getting back in shape and getting back to our visual reviews.
Yeah, we'll be getting back to our video reviews here soon, but for now, we're just currently doing this as an audio. So we hope. I realize that the audio might not come out so good with one of our mics, but we're doing it the best we can. So we hope you guys enjoy and sit back. Now, Ghostbusters 2016 is the newest film from director Paul Feig and stars Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones, and Chris Hemsworth. Now, a little backstory. Growing up, I was always a fan of Ghostbusters when I was younger. You know, I remember watching the first movie when I was little, and it was one of those the first film I remember, it was one of those kind of movies that not only blended a lot of comedy well together, but also it was actually it kind of played it straight as a horror movie too.
Yeah, it was. It really had some horror scenes, and it was like a mix of action, drama. It was like a pretty good mixture of all all genres in the one film.
Yeah, especially and not just that, but it was also the comedic timing, the comedic chemistry that you had between all these famous guys from Saturday Night Live. You had Bill Murray, you had Dan Aykroyd, and you had Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, yeah. And then Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. And the first film, what I really loved it was, not only was it just a really funny comedy mixed in with a lot of horror, but it was just it had a lot of magic to it, you know? Just because everyone knows the story. You had these guys that were going around these paranormal investigators going around trying to stop these ghosts that are trying to wreak havoc in New York, and they're trying
at the same time trying to make a career out of it.
Yeah. To this day, I watched it recently, and you get a lot of the effects they have in it really hold up, you know?
It still holds up to this day. And not only that, it has really good comedic timing. It didn't have to rely on stupid slap jokes like farting and then tripping like jackass movies like this new one. We'll get to that pretty soon. It didn't have to rely on stupid shit to laugh at. They had great timing, and it just came out funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what it seems like. My scene that had made me laugh was the blowjob scene. Where
yeah.
He sucked on Dan Aykroyd's dick and his eyeballs go inwards. And not only that, it had a better score, not for just the theme, but the score alone was pretty creepy. Especially whenever the ghosts break out of that thing when the lawyer ends up releasing him.
Yeah, I remember that.
It has really good creepy score with it.
It does, and also it helps too that throughout. I mean, the movie had a lot of different. There were a few different montages that were going here and there when they're actually busting the ghosts, but you still get the vibe that these guys that are doing this, they really just want to try to get their business going, and they're making a name for themselves. Now, the first one, to even this day, I still consider it one of my all-time favorite movies. It has.
It's one of my favorites. I can keep going back to it. It was a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, it was a 10 out of 10 for me too. And then the second one came out in 1989, and that one, I know a lot of people, even this day, are still kind of mixed about it. I like it just as much as the first one, but I can see it does have some problems here and there. Because the second one...
It has little problems, but I gotta say that I really, really loved it's not better than the first one, but it's really up there. I really liked the second one. I thought it was really... It's considered one of the big underrated films. I think it was misjudged. I think that people watch it are not getting the picture. Yes, it does have some... not as good as the first one, some comedy, kind of really softened for the children part.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up, and Vigo used to scare the living fucking shit out of me.
Yeah, Vigo was a creepy guy. I mean, just his presence alone, where he's just staring in the eyes and stuff, really creepy. Yeah. It's really creepy. And I also
get why the hatred for the villains, because really, if you think about it, the villain is like an upper grade from Vigo from the first one, or whatever you call it.
Gozer.
Gozers. Yeah, the Gozers. I think it was cool that they captured another creepy monster.
Yeah.
And I think he's actually highly unused in future shit when they bring back like the Stay Puft and all them. I think Vigo is really not used as much because he really is a scary motherfucker.
Yeah, definitely is. And then
I think that's one thing I can knock off on the second one. They didn't use much Vigo.
Yeah, well, I also have a soft spot for 2 because not only did the chemistry still work with the cast, and a lot of their dynamic really worked, but I also enjoyed Peter McNichol guy, where there's that part where he gets possessed by Vigor and he's going to get the baby, and he dresses up in a maid outfit as a ghost.
I actually do like him. I think he was also misunderstood in this film, and I think he was, I enjoyed him. I really liked him, but I also, one thing we like to bring up, I like how they added more to the story. They're hinting that we're about to get a 5th Ghostbusters where they have Rick Moranis wanting to be a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Well,
and it was hinted that if they were doing other films, it would be an additional to their group.
Yeah, it would have made sense because he kind of does take part as a Ghostbusters in the last act of the second one. Mm-hmm. And what I'm
glad they brought him back and gave him a storyline other than just leaving him in the first one.
Yeah.
They brought him back. This time he's with the secretary.
Yeah.
I got to give that an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it 8 out of 10 for me because it had some little things here and there, like some of the humor kind of fell flat here and there. But I still think it's just as good as the first one, I think.
I don't know about you, but I actually really like watching the Statue of Liberty scene.
Yeah, that always cracks me up. And when the ghosts come off the Titanic.
Yeah, and Cheech plays a cameo.
Yeah.
Where he's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
Yeah.
When Cheech Marlin came and did the cameo of that.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, anyway, I really, growing up, I enjoyed both of the Ghostbusters movies. Now, I never saw the cartoon series, but I heard both those cartoon shows they brought out were...
I can't really judge the cartoon. I did watch them, but I watched them as a kid. I can't fucking remember them. I know they're just like turtles. There's so many of them. You just can't give a throughout, grade because I have to rewatch them all again. But they were for its time back in the day.
Yeah.
So I can't judge them all because I was really spotty with it because I was a kid. I just watched them if it was on TV. It's not like... I'm a movie man when I was a kid, and like, I got to go back to the first one. I just watched them sporadic, so I can't really judge them. From what I remember, they do like different stuff. Like for instance, Slimer is actually a buddy of theirs.
Yeah, he was part of the main group, and it actually became where he's got his own episodes too. From what I was hearing.
That's one thing I do like him in 1 and 2. It's just the only thing is still to this day I think he's underused in every one of them.
Yeah.
I guess that you could say safely so they wouldn't fuck the movies up. They just kept them minor.
Which
more realistic. So I guess I could say, okay. But Slimer made me laugh still in the first and second one.
Oh, yeah, especially when he slimes Bill Murray in the first one. He's like, he slid me.
Yeah. Well, I like it where he fucks with Rick Moranis in the second one.
Yeah, he does do that. Well, anyway, between 2 and the current movie that we're going to talk about here soon, there was a long history that we had of Ghostbusters before the movie was even coming out. Like, in the 2000s, Dan Aykroyd announced that they had a script in development that they were going to do where it was going to be Ghostbusters Go to Hell, where they were going to have all the team come back, and it was going to be basically where these ghosts are trying to take over Manhattan, and it becomes kind of like a hellish kind of ghosts. And the problem with that was every time that Dan Aykroyd would try to get the movie going, Bill Murray was so reluctant to come back because he wasn't really... the thing was, Bill Murray was not a fan of the second movie. He thought that after he did Ghostbusters 2, he felt like it had such a big turmoil on himself. So,
in a way, even though I love it, it wasn't a huge downgrade from their cult classic that would be so iconic and that, it was like so loved and rated so good. And I can see why he felt like it might have killed that image that they did have, but it didn't really kill the image. And I just think at the time when he did it, he was like, man, to me, I feel like we killed the image of the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I can understand an actor doesn't want to come back after a while, but the thing was, as years went by, there was an interview that I think he did probably in 2011, or it was around 2008, 2009. It was when they announced that there was going to be a game coming out. He said that the wounds have healed from Ghostbusters 2. So actually, based on that interview, you kind of hinted that possibly he was going to come back for another one, because when the game came out in 2009.
Part 3 of it, but they were actually wanting to do a comeback, and they first wanted a full-on comeback, but when they found out that they were older in age, they were wanting to do a passing the torch movie.
Yeah, the scripts they had in mind was, at first they were going to have all the cast come back, and yes, that is one of the scripts they had in mind, where it was going to be a passing the torch, where they supposedly they were going to get Jonah Hill and Ben Stiller to play Ghostbusters, and then kind of do
Ben
that.
Stiller, there was other rumors that there was Jim Carrey was in mind at one time.
Oh, that would have been cool.
There was also, I believe, Channing Tatum was brought up for a short period. His name, I remember being mentioned, didn't know what he was going to be. But other than that, I mean, they had doable characters. They still could have done it. To me, I thought that, now in this day and age, you could have had, Kevin Hart. You could have had Chris Pine, Chris
Pratt.
You could have had Jonah Hill still. Because Jonah Hill, something about him, I think he could be a good Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I think he could too. Well, anyway, after long development came to where they were going to do Ghostbusters 3, Harold Ramis, unfortunately, had passed away a couple years ago, which had basically canceled all hope of Ghostbusters 3. But between that, before...
They said that they either come back together all at one time, which also brought up that Rick Moranis was coming back too.
Yeah, that would have been.
He's retired. He said, "I will come out unretired for this film because I enjoyed this."
Yeah.
They all agreed. If one of us goes, one of us says no, it's over with. And Harold died, so they said it was done.
And that was the thing, not only did Harold Ramis die, but the ironic thing was Bill Murray reluctantly decided to come back after he died.
Pisses me off, though, because Bill Murray's really close to Dan Aykroyd and all them, and that's the only thing that pisses me off about not liking Bill Murray. I like him, cool guy, he's funny, but the one thing that bothers me is he's the reason why it took so long, because he kept lollygagging about wanting to do it, then he wanted to do it, he was fucking around, it was pissing me off.
Yeah.
So he's kind of shortly to blame why we never got this cast back.
I know, it would have been really cool. But anyway...
He waited for Harold Ramis to die, and then he said, I'm all for it for a cameo.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be cameos, you guys were going to play a big cameos in passing the torch, which would have been even better, because you were going to pass it to some really good guys they were having set, and I would have liked. I mean, it would not got as worse as this fucking piece of shit we're about to talk about.
Now, after much delay, the studio decided to finally get around to doing the reboot, which announced in 2015, which, okay, I'll say this right now. Before we get into the review, I'm all for them doing a different cast for Ghostbusters, okay? Because what they wanted to do was they brought in, the whole idea was bringing in a new group that was going to be all women. Now, keep in mind, this isn't the first time this idea has been done before, because from what I was hearing about the other cartoon show that came out in the 90s, the Extreme Ghostbusters, it did mix up women with other men in that show. Now,
I was actually all for they were wanting to do 2 women and 2 guys.
Yeah, I'm all for that too.
50-50, which would have been cool. But it's not about the hatred of the women in this. It's not about we're sexist. It's about the women they chose.
Yeah.
These women that they chose all have very bad track records in comedy. I'm sorry. The SNL, to this day, this SNL comedy does not hold up with the other ones from the 90s and the 80s. It's not good. These are women who, like, for instance, I like Melissa McCarthy, but her track record overall is just a bunch of Tammy movies.
Yeah.
Which we already know what that fucking piece of shit ended up being like. She very rarely gets a spy type movie, which I enjoyed. And then same with the other two we don't. I forgot the other two's name.
You got
Leslie
Kristen
Jones
Wiig,
and the other girl, the Egon girl,
Kate McKinnon.
I don't know much about them, other than the SNL, but the girl that's playing Bill Murray's part,
Kristen Wiig.
what's her? Kristen Wiig. She's another one who doesn't have the full-on acting experience. Other than I liked her okay in Paul, but other than that, she's got just cameo. I mean, little spots of scenes, and I've never really enjoyed her acting. I think she's pretty bland in her face. She has no emotion. So It's not about being sexist. These 4 girls these were possibly worst choices they could. I'd like to start off with the review. Another thing that I really, in my opinion, I really think the worst possible director they could have got is Paul Feig.
Yeah.
He is a guy who's only got, he's a guy that only he's not familiar with other genres. He's really good with chick flicks. Not saying that he makes bad movies. Some of his chick flicks are pretty funny. He did Spy. God, that was hilarious. But his other track records of his films really aren't that funny. They're really just, they're kind of mixed with like dry humor, mixed with fart jokes. I'm all about raunchiness. If you can do it right and you have the right the character, the right actor or actress to give it a payoff. And generally the ones he works with, and he's really picky. He only goes for CNL people. And those people, to me, are not funny. I've watched CNL. I quit watching it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's too, I don't want to bring it up, but in my mind, I think when they started doing nothing but political shit, that killed me right there. I'm done.
Yeah. Now keep in mind that I do like some. I've only seen one of Paul Feig's movies. I've only seen the Heat, which I really liked, but I've never seen Spy.
Oh, that was another one I forget to mention. That was really good.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know much about Bridesmaids, but like I said, I thought his best work was on Spy.
Yeah, I've never seen.
They did. That was also one of Melissa McCarthy's best roles because she played different from Tammy-ish, and believe it or not, that's all it took for her to get, thumbs up for me.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. Well, I have yet to see Spy, but based on what I see in the Heat, she can be really funny. So I have no problem with her being cast in this movie. It's just that when I'm seeing it, because I'm also hit and miss with Kristen Wiig. I think the only movie I've ever laughed that she's been in was Paul, and the only other performance-wise that I liked, but only because the rest of the movie was good, was The Martian, that she just happened to be in.
She's really bland in her face. She kind of reminds me of Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
She really has no emotion. She's just like, you can tell, even though obviously it's a movie, but you can tell she's just like reading her lines. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can tell she's waiting to say her lines, and that's a big it gets so noticeable. It's like, whoa, now you're just making it like a fucking a cheap Broadway act.
Exactly.
I don't think she's a good actress. I liked her in, Paul, and she was really not that. She wasn't a huge on Martian, but what I've seen of Martian, she was okay in. But other than that, she's only plays like in cameos. She's not really got a lot of acting experience.
Well, she does, but she's mainly in those other films that I haven't really seen that she's been in, and along with a lot of stuff she's done. I just want to say right now, since we're going to be talking about the reboot, for all the ones that are listening to this, keep in mind, we've heard all the reviews and everything, all the controversies around the movie, so we're going to be as honest and very, going straight forward as we can in this, because we're not trying to offend anyone that likes the film, or even have any, political things come up at all, because now keep that in mind. We're not saying this film is, we're not saying we're against this film because it has women. We're not saying it because we're sexist. We're just simply talking about the movie as honest as we can. So, so we have now Ghostbusters, and this one, the whole story is much like the original movie. You have a team of Ghostbusters. You have a team of women that are all form this group that they want to try to get a business started, because Kristen Wiig University.
She's working at a college.
Yeah.
And
she's writing a book.
Apparently her and Melissa McCarthy have history. They were best friends in high school. They grew up together, and something with a book split their friendship up, and the book, when it came out, it brought them back, because she was to go to confront her about, hey, why did you put my name on that book? We did that, we quit it, and I didn't get credit for it.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what brought her back.
Yeah, and so we get them having to, and we also discovered there's another character played by Kate McKinnon who's the Egon type, and pretty much what she discovers is that she's working on discovering paranormal activity that's happening, and they get a call from this school that realize that something bad happened where they discover there's ghosts, and the whole film they go throughout trying to save the city and uncover a plot that involves another guy who's introduced later in the film on taking over the city. Now, I gotta admit, man, when I first seen the trailers for this, I can already tell this movie was going to be bad, because...
Yeah, it's not about sexism or anything. This movie, the trailers, and I'm not lying, you can't say that we're lying, because if you haven't been paying attention to news, the trailers were so bad. This movie's trailer was so bad. It was the most hated film of all time of any type video on YouTube.
It was.
It held the record. I think it was like 70 million dislikes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And Sony, and if you can't find it, if you want proof, you won't be able to find it, because we come to find out, Sony got offended so bad that they went on YouTube and paid them, please take it down so they don't see that 70 million hate it.
Well, my biggest problems with that trailer and the movie alone, because we're going to get into this, that kind of humor they have, where it's just mainly just pop cultural jokes, where they're quoting stuff from like The Exorcist, and you have a lot of cringeworthy like improvised shit. That shit right there is what really killed me for the trailer, because throughout the whole movie, the movie's like that too. The whole movie has them doing about 80% improv and about 20% script. So you can obviously tell this is something.
Which is cool if you get the right actors, but these people are not really good at improvising themselves. It didn't turn out to be good.
Anyway, going back to Ghostbusters, basically you have this setup where you have them going to check the ghosts, and not only is this humor so fucking stupid, they throw in, at the very beginning of the movie, they throw in a joke where this they're listening to this tape recorder, and they discovered that this pussy farts.
Yeah.
Which I'm like...
Oh, yeah, they were... that's where it was getting so... Yeah, they make Kristen Wiig, like, basically listen down to go, you hear that ghost, and then it's just them making pussy farts. That shit... I mean, I guess you could say if it's timed right by the right actress, it could be funny, but they didn't pay off the way they said it.
I know,
it just felt like a little kid joke, like and
that's not the only thing. There's a lot of other humor that comes up later that's just really stupid. Like, you get a lot of jokes,
drawn out humor, drawn out shit that don't need to be drawn the fuck out.
Especially that running joke where, okay, Melissa McCarthy has that wonton joke that keeps going through the ground, and it's really stupid how it keeps, like, it doesn't even make any sense.
This guy, he has no, like, you get this guy he's a delivery guy, and he basically shows up throughout this film, like, maybe 3 or 4 times, and the only thing he does is bring her food, and he fucks her food up.
Yeah.
I'm really... it's pointless, and you can have pointless shit like that. It's just, if you're making that guy who is not famous, whose lines are nothing for this movie, you're overusing him to where, is he supposed to have some kind of payoff in the end? You're making him like a main story.
Yeah.
But yet he's not.
That, and not just that, but, okay, I gotta get into this now. Okay, so far, you got Kristen Wiig, who I thought really sucked. She was really boring throughout it. You know, she delivered lines in such a really excruciating, just bland way, and the writing didn't help either.
She was boring. She was, like, I don't know, sometimes, even though she wants to be in the movie, she seems like she doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know how to go, what am I supposed to do? She feels lost in that movie.
That, and you also have Melissa McCarthy, who again, I'm also hit and miss with, but here, I just found her obnoxious. Every time that I would see her, she kept doing too much screaming shit.
Like going back to Tammy again.
Yeah, where she's, and she's doing a bunch of that, almost every time that she's fighting a ghost, she's always yelling so loud because that's supposed to be funny. kind of humor. I'm like, that is so and then
Yeah.
and then now we get to the other two, which I got to talk about this. Okay, so we get Kate McKinnon's character, who's supposed to be like Egon, and I'll give it this. Okay, I think Kate McKinnon, I think that she can be talented, but her character in this movie just seems, she is so like batshit insane, and it's not funny. It's just so like humiliating to watch.
The thing is she's supposed to be playing a scientist, and she's also playing like she's fucking retarded.
Yeah.
She doesn't even execute that very well. She just, it's just fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Everything that comes out of her mouth is fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand her. I'm gonna tell you right now, all four of these characters, we'll get to Leslie Jones in a second, but these were like, all of them I fucking hated.
I did too.
It was so annoying.
And I don't really feel like they had any chemistry, because there are parts in the film. There are parts of the film where they would do a joke, or every time like they're standing next to each other or saying something, I don't find them coming across as genuine or even like they even want to be there. You know?
Yeah, it's like they want to be there, but I think it's like they know that this movie's probably not going to get liked.
Yeah,
because you just can't touch some classics.
Yeah, and then here's the big one. This is the character that really brought the movie to even was like this is the kind of performance that you told me about in The Ridiculous Six. That was just like nails on a chalkboard bed. Okay, so we have Leslie Jones's character, who she's basically the Winston equivalent, where she's just an everyday person who works at a subway station. But the trailers I thought, was just the tipping on the ice. No, this is something.
Leslie Jones, other than there's a lot of problems in the trailer, Leslie Jones was like the fucking problem. This is what scared everybody in this trailer, that it was going to be that bad.
Yes.
She was able to accomplish making 70 million people go on there and say, fucking dislike this piece of shit. Because don't take it as a racist way. And I'm not racist at all. Don't take this as a racist way. But that's the problem. She
was playing a stereotype. She was playing...
Yeah, I mean, this is, act like Winston did in the 84. And she came in there, and she's doing all that, like, hell no. That shit, the
power of petty compels you. I'm like, oh no, man. No, she does that throughout the whole movie too. I mean, there are other times where she isn't doing it too much, but every time that she talks, I'm just like, man, she is dragging this movie down. Like,
she drags her lines out, and they had to bring fucking. I don't want to touch up on this very much because I don't want to get in no debate with people, but her touching some political bullshit is what kills the movie, really. She's, when she falls, she goes, oh, is it a woman thing, or is it because I'm black? I mean, she touches that a lot throughout this film, and, oh my god, save that for another film that's touching that subject.
Yeah.
And...
Well, yeah, so the main four I really sucked, and another thing I have a problem with is...
Let me get to this one right here, because believe it or not, this is going to be a big shocker. I didn't expect to say this, but next to Leslie Jones, Chris Hemsworth.
I was just about to...
Performance, and he is a good actor. I love almost everything he plays in. Number one, this movie should have never had him in it, because he doesn't look right in this film. He looks so out, like, doesn't even mix in this film. He looks so out of place. But two, other than the writing, his performance, how he thought it should be, I was actually really ashamed for such a good actor to be that shitty.
Yeah.
He was the second most annoying person in this film. He made me want to pull my fucking hair out. He's playing this stupid fucking retard that's basically saying that all of us men are fucking idiots.
Yeah, that is another thing I have a problem with. Okay, I'm only going to bring this up because the movie speaks for itself. This movie is basically saying, either portrays all men as either an asshole like the mayor or the other guy we'll get to later, or they portray them as incompetent. They're all unlikable.
Yeah, everybody. This movie, I'll be honest with you, and I feel sorry because I can say maybe the writing on this one. But I also think that I felt so bad for this film. Even the cameos were really bad.
Yeah.
I don't blame all of them except
Well,
for Dan Aykroyd.
Well, we won't spoil all the cameos
like,
what happened, but we'll say that the cameos.
But let's talk about fucking Chris Hemsworth's character.
Yeah, so he
is supposed to make these funny jokes where he hears loud noises, but he grabs his ears. It's like he's playing a guy who doesn't know the difference between his ears and his eyes. Oh, it's so loud, he grabs his ears.
Yeah,
that is not fucking funny. Him not having glasses in his glass, there's glass in his glasses, lenses. That's not funny. Him saying, "Oh, let me answer the phone. Oh, I put it in the shark tank." That's not funny.
That was really
Anything
stupid.
He delivers is not fucking funny.
It was.
It is annoying.
That, and another thing too I had a problem with was throughout the movie, he's like trying to. This whole movie runs this whole thing down to the ground where you think Christian Wiig just simply hires him because he's good looking. She don't ask what his background. I mean, they ask what his background is, but she don't really look at any other applicants or anything and say, "Hey, maybe we could find someone else who actually knows what they're doing." No, this is the worst secretary you could ever possibly hire.
Yeah, and then and this is the only lines that Kristen Wiig doesn't play serious. The only time she doesn't play serious, because she's playing serious throughout this whole role, but she tries to do comedy, which sucks on this. She's always making sexual references to him, and those are not paying off. They're annoying as fuck.
Yeah, and plus another thing too I have a problem with is, man, you talk about some really awful potential that they could have had for the cameos, which I'm not going to go into detail, but you can tell that the movie, from what I thought they would do, was they could have potentially had it to where it could possibly be like a sequel, but still kind of play it more as a reboot. I
thought that they could have said that that they went hiding for 30 years, they had to change their name. Or they could have and since nobody really owned their names, they could have just stayed with their names, Bateman and all them. And I thought it would have been potential to where he could have, they could have not played a big role. They could have played a oversized cameo where they're in it a lot, but they're not paid attention to, and you can get the feel of passing the torch.
Yeah.
They could have done that at least. Even though still the writing, other shit's wrong with this film, this film could have probably scored a lot more points than what it's getting.
Yeah, it would have. It would have actually went with what they originally had in mind, but kind of tweak it a little bit. But anyway,
but it doesn't pay off. We get the 4 cameos still. 3. We get a Harold Ramis statue at the beginning, but
I missed that.
Say that's actually at the beginning where the guy with the glass eye from Last Action Heroes talking, and he goes, "Yeah, after my father started the Dean here," and when he opened the door, it was Harold Ramis' statue. Oh,
okay. Well, anyway, then another problem I have too is poor Andy Garcia in the movie playing the mayor. He looked like he was bored. He looked like he didn't want to be there in the movie.
And you know what? For a little time that the mayor had in '84 and '89, he still was fun. That guy was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I played him. He passed away, I think, this year.
I think so. Yeah,
last year, one of them. Yeah. That mayor still, they wrote the movie in '84 so well that the guy still blended in for what little did he had. He still holds remembrance for his performance.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia, he didn't. I think he said, "I'm just doing this for a big paycheck."
Yeah, he looked annoyed in some parts too. There were parts of the movie where he was looking at looking at the Ghostbusters, and he looked just annoyed by them. I was like, "Man, you really don't want to be here, do you?" So anyway,
I don't blame him.
So anyway, as the movie progresses, you're seeing them having to check out their equipment and everything, and well, first we'll get our cons of the way first. Pretty much, you have all the cameos that come in, which are the only one I thought was funny was when Dan Aykroyd's came up, but the rest of them, they were just there. They didn't really serve any purpose at all. And then we get to here's another bitch I have. This is probably so far the villain they set up is probably one of the worst villains I've ever seen in a comedy. The dude they set up as the villain, the whole motive is that he just gets bullied.
The fucking fat dude who really doesn't fucking go anywhere in this fucking film.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he doesn't go anywhere. He just popped. He has Spodrlik popping up. He pops up every now and then. Then you don't know his history. Why is he the guy that's possessing. You don't get history in a lot of this. It's just so bland written, and it's like, okay, so, and then he finally fucking, whatever happens to him,
Yeah, and not just that, but and another thing too I have to bitch about. I hated not the score. I thought the score was not the score, but the soundtrack. Good lord, you talk about some like really bad like remakes of the Ghostbusters.
They use a lot of fucking typical rap music, and like they use in all the films.
Yeah,
like Little John. I mean, they do that fucking shit, dude. They put that in like 80 fucking comedies a year.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
That horrible remix they did with Chris Brown. I think it was by Chris Brown.
Yeah. The remix.
Yeah.
Is it that one?
That and the other one. The other one, the dubstep one, was also bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dubstep one was really awful.
But then we get like another thing that really was really weird. All right, so they kind of like copy this from the first one. Well, they do fraudulent copies throughout the film. It's the opening was kind of the same in a way, but this one was really just like it looked fucking weird. So the part is, and we can bring this up because it's in the trailer. We get instead of the Marshmallow Man, which is a cameo in this film, we get a guy similar to him. And he's the logo.
Yeah.
That logo where he pops up and it looks so animated. You remember that?
Yeah.
It didn't look out of it kind of looked out of place, but they do a Gozer thing where it's like they kind of copy for the first one. Oh, is this what was on your mind?
Yeah.
So it's like
instead of Stay Puft, it was the Ghostbusters logo. So that's what they did a reference to the original movie.
I thought that had potential though, because you don't want to do the Stay Puft and copy verbatim. They did have him a cameo in the movie, but I always thought that it would have been a cool idea to have that as a evil monster. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that the CGI for for the actual monster, the Ghostbusters logo, was really so awful and so like really out of place. Like it looked like something out of a made for sci-fi movie. It looked awful.
Yeah.
But I will say that the logo they had before it, where it was kind of animated, that was actually pretty cool. Another problem I have with it too is, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't in the original movie that when they are actually catching the ghosts, they're actually catching them? In the climax of this one, they're actually bringing out the new weapons and everything, and some of them they're actually like killing them. They're disintegrating them.
Well, yeah. Now that you mention that, my big problem with this film, also, I like to bring up, is there's no intense scenes or any all bets are off. They had the equivalent to Egon character. She fought all 70 of them while they're playing that gay-ass dubstep fucking Ghostbusters game.
And
she beats them all. And I'm like, oh my god, is there any kind of non-bets or off, more of a really intense scene?
Yeah, and that it didn't help that, because, okay, here's where the inconsistency falls, okay? Not only does this character become the main badass where she doesn't get a scratch, how is it that the main girl, the main Ghostbuster, Kristen Wiig's character, she's the one that every joke she's always falling down or gets slimed on in every scene? I'm like,
she's basically playing she reminded me of Jackass, Johnny Knoxville, where he likes to fucking trip.
Yeah.
In this shit, and they think it's funny, so they use those in fucking movies, and that's what annoyed me in this fucking film. She did that a lot, and that really was annoying as fuck. But going back to the non-bets, no bets are all. I mean, they didn't have none of that. And whenever they did that logo guy, which had potential, they defeated him really fucking quick.
Yeah, they did. That was so stupid how they actually beat him that quick.
Dude, the dude had a 3-minute screen time.
Yeah.
They beat him. I was like, oh man, really?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, other than that, though, there's some other things I could talk about for an hour, going over an hour, but that's really my biggest gripes of the movie. There were some more things, too, but, I'll give it, here's my pros. I do like the 3D, because I saw this in 3D, and I actually got a chance to see it, and man, you talk about some really cool-ass effects they use for the proton packs. You're seeing the actual, you can literally see the proton beams shoot out the screen at you, and I had to duck a couple times. I was like, holy shit.
So I did like the visuals. But then there's a lot of good cons on the visual part, at least. But my pro part is it also kind of reminded me of Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows.
It did.
Like, I almost seen a lot of shit that kind of reminded me of Michael Bay did it.
Though, to be honest, though, this one I thought was worse than Turtles Out of the Shadows. Because,
Yeah.
at least with Turtles Out of the Shadows, I will give at least that one, at least had some kind of fun with it, where even though a lot of the jokes were much the same equivalent, they at least still felt like the people that were involved actually had fun making it, and they actually, the characters, the look of them were cool, and they did get they got some action parts that I enjoyed a lot better.
Yeah, but my pros, I'm going to have to say, yeah, some of the visuals were pretty neat. I did like Dan Aykroyd's cameo. He's the only one that did it right. They wrote him in right. I did kind of chuckle at first, even though I did have a con on it. I did like how they had like Slimer have a girlfriend.
Yeah, that was cool.
And they kind of like was bickering back and forth. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
That did make me kind of giggle a lot, and I thought that was a cool thing to make you laugh, is Slimer having a girlfriend. But I didn't care for his deep voice. I liked his little more higher pitch in the first one.
Yeah.
It's more funnier that way.
Yeah, the movie did have a couple surprises here and there that I kind of smirked at, where I was like, oh, that's cool. And also, I'll admit, the biggest laugh for me was at the very beginning, where, okay, I laughed probably a couple of times. I had one big laugh and then probably a chuckle. These were at the beginning. The laugh that I had was at the very beginning, your great uncle, where he was talking about how he's reading the book and everything. He's like, I know how to read.
By the way, for the fans, watch this. I am somewhat in lines of relations with Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah, that's your great uncle.
Yeah, it's like my great uncle, second great uncle. He's in my bloodline. He's a Begley. My mom's side is a Begley, and some of my distant relatives, like my great grandma, my great aunts and stuff, actually talk to him a lot.
Yeah, but anyway, we have. But also, I also enjoyed the potential they had for setting up the story with the passing the torch that they could have had going for it, and also I like the idea of what the villain could have done, where he's trying to bring the ghost to basically. It's what I thought they were going to do by bringing the ghost from hell into it, which would have been cool because there are glimpses where you can kind of see something that they had in mind. But other than that, though, that's really, like, far in between, because those are, like, the littlest things I can say about this piece of shit.
I'll be honest with you, man. Like I said, I think I've only mentioned 3, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was a god-awful piece of shit. In my opinion, it butchered a classic, and I did go into this film not trying to be biased, because I love the original 1 and 2. So I went in this film to see what it could do on its own standards. And even at that, this movie is just really fucking bad.
It is.
Really, 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 really bad.
It is.
Really bad.
So far, and I thought Turtles was probably my worst of the year. No, I think I have to, and I don't mean to say this, I mean, I'm sure there's fans disagree with me, but I am going to have to probably apologize to Turtles, because this one I thought was even worse. I mean,
well, I've seen a lot more other greater movies than you did this year, like 50 Shades of Black and The Darkness, which was worse. But definitely this is down there with them. It's going to be like tied with those other two for worse. It's going to be lucky. All it's going to say is it's lucky that Darkness and 50 Shades of Black was worse than that. I mean, those two were worse. This is my third worst of the movie so far. Third worst movie of the year so far. This movie was just fucking straight out trash, and it was probably one of the worst reboots I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Very long time.
And don't get me wrong,
Oh, wait, no, not a very long time. It's the worst reboot since Poltergeist reboot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, this one, I'd say for those of you out there that like the film, hey, I respect your opinion and everything. If you liked it, check it out. If you do like it. But for me and him, like this one, I could really, it's not the fact that it promotes feminism or anything like that. It's just the bad writing, the bad direction they had going for it, the awful humor.
I think Paul Feig was not the right director for this film. I really don't think he was the right director, and we know that Sony's not been doing very well on these type of films. They've been really gotten a shitty track record.
Yeah.
And I think that Sony needs to sell Ghostbusters, somebody else needs to take over, and I think another production agency needs to buy it and do a better version of this, because right now, not happy with it. I'm made $48 million now. It's up to $48 million, and it cost $148 million to make.
Yeah, so
it's down $100 million. Unfortunately, I did see in the news that regardless of how bad it bombs, we are getting a sequel for 2018.
Yeah, and I can only...
All things are already getting ready to get it set up.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure it is.
He said, I don't care if it bombs. I already got like $50 million. I'm good.
Yeah. Overall, I'm going to give the movie a 2 out of 10. The only reason I didn't give it a 1, or I'm going to give it a 2.5. The only reason I didn't give it a 1.5 or anything was because of the 3D. Because I thought the 3D did pick up a 1 more point for me. Because I really want to check it out, the movie, just watch the 3D alone. Because to me, that's really the best you can get out of it. I mean, you talk about wasted opportunities so much that they could have had for years down the road, and they flushed it down the shitter.
I think I'm being nice, but I wrote this down. I'm going to give it this score. I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 10. For its attempt, Dan Aykroyd, at least, even though the cameos came back and they were written and shit on, they came back I'll give them some points for that. But it's still a 3 out of 10 for me. It's going to be in my top 10 worst of list.
Yeah, it's so far it's my worst of the year movie. But anyway, I hope you guys. We thank you so much for listening to our review of this, our rant on the movie. And now, for those of you who have seen the movie already, comment below and let us know what you guys thought. And I'm sure there might be some disagreements that some of you might have with the review, and that's cool. Just if you like what you see here, you can check us out on YouTube, and we also have other audio reviews. You can check us out on SoundCloud as well, for those of you who've been keeping up, and we'll be having more reviews coming up here soon. We'll see you guys later.
Later.